So what was your biggest takeaway from the panel?
I think it's really good that we're having the conversation about the component of gaming that's really pop culture focused, in the sense that we from kind of FaZe Clan already feel we are pop culture and already feel we are youth culture and at the center of it all. Not just FaZe, but like the gaming kind of ecosystem. It is youth culture. So I think it's good that everybody's kind of starting to talk about it and recognize it. I referenced Ninja being a pop star because that's what he is through and through. And I think that the more that people kind of acknowledge and recognize it and understand that this is going to happen regardless of whether or not the traditional media gets on board, is a really important kind of component of the discussion, frankly. So I think the biggest takeaway is that I'm happy we're talking about it. I'm happy that everybody is kind of taking that seriously, and I expect more and more of these kind of conversations to everybody to finally kind of get it and see it in a more official capacity.
So how have you found ESI London so far, and why did you decide to attend it?
Very cool. I was asked by Sam to pop over and sit on this lovely panel, and I said I was very, very happy to. I want FaZe Clan to be more involved in Europe in general, and so we've got teams out here, and I think it's important to kind of make sure that we're as a part of the community kind of giving back and making sure that everybody that's entering, trying to enter, trying to understand, trying to connect, at least is guided by the right voices, but also just that we're part of the conversation. So I think it's lovely to see events like this that are kind of helping people first come in here or potentially reset their view of what it is that they've seen maybe elsewhere, or at least connect and talk with other people in the space that they may not be talking on a regular basis.
What are some big goals for FaZe over the next 12 months or so?
A lot of them. I mean, to be honest, I think we're expanding pretty quickly. We're always looking for great young talent that kind of fills out both our pro and content creator roster. I think we're looking for great partnerships with brands that allow us to kind of flex our voice and allow our content creators to flex their individual voices as well. So I think we have some things in the works that'll be announced over the next several months that'll hopefully make some splashes in the space. And 2020, I mean, really, we want to kind of build off of everything that we've done in 2019. We've brought in some very, very heavy names from the traditional sports and traditional music and media space. I think there's a lot of things that we can just do directly with them. We're already starting to discuss it, but I think we have some international expansion plans too, and TBD on the timing for it all. But yeah, looking to have an even bigger year next year than we did this year.
What was your first game you remember playing?
First game I remember playing? Oh man. Oof. The first one I remember playing like a ridiculous amount of is probably Super Mario Brothers 3. I lived in Africa at the time, so games were like, it wasn't like very common to just run down the street. So my dad was a Peace Corps director. I'd see my friends at school, but then I'd go home, and I was the only child. So like, I would just play hours and hours and hours of games. And I recall that Super Mario was the right level of difficulty, but also like satisfaction on completion. I think I also had like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which was a harder game, and I was annoyed, and I just couldn't ever get through it the same way. So Super Mario Brothers 3 was probably like the one I remember playing at that time. I'm trying to remember though, like probably the most hours I've put in a game that long ago was either probably Fallout 2, just like run-throughs on completely different types of builds, or Halo, which was the first multiplayer experience where we basically LAN party it up on 4 Xboxes, get your Duke, and 4 TVs, 4 big ugly TVs, and just try to play and Sidewinder, Blood Gulch, capture the flag stuff. So that's a lot of memories, a lot of yelling, a lot of fun times.
What's been your favorite esports moment for 2019?
I'm probably going to be doing something injustice in terms of like forgetting some moment, but I think the most recent one is probably the introduction that we had of kind of Offset coming in. And I think whenever you bring in partners or celebrity partners specifically, you never really know how much they're going to engage with the brand. And I think it's been incredible to see somebody that's just diving in head first, but also that just seems like such an amazing cultural fit. He got along with our guys swimmingly. You know, he's been on TMZ basically saying "FaZe up, bitch." You know, like he's like hardcore about the brand. He was in a Complex video and he was rocking the hoodie when he was going shoe shopping. And he, like, the craziest thing for me was he put our PUBG team on blast on his Instagram stories, and I was just like, I don't think anybody gave him heads up that we were playing, and he just somehow found it, put it up on Instagram, and it wasn't just one story, it was like 2 or 3 stories where he was clearly like watching the round. And like, you know, I love watching PUBG, but it doesn't have the most massive following. So like the fact that he went in, like that's like a deep cut, you know, like that's so you got to go out there and find it and look for it. So I was super blown away by that. So like it's been incredible to kind of like have someone like that just dive in so far. So I think that's pretty awesome. And like I said, I'm probably forgetting something else that's really good, or you know, I don't want to, no negative to any of our teams for any of the victories that we've had or so, but I think that was a very compelling and interesting kind of like time for FaZe.
What are you looking for the whole sort of broader esports industry?
There's a lot of different sides of it. So, you know, I'd love personally for kind of like the Counter-Strike ecosystem to continue kind of developing and growing from the audience. I think it's quietly one of the most viewed esports out there, but because there's so many different partners and players in there, they don't consolidate the numbers the same way that League of Legends does, or you know, some of the other games that are out there, the Overwatch, for example, that consolidate all their numbers and showcase that against one individual tournament at a time. And so I think the more that we can kind of just reflect that in the space, I think would be great. I really am curious and hopeful that the Overwatch League kind of bet really pans out with regards to the homestands and selling tickets. And I think, like, you know, I wish it the best and I want it to succeed, to be honest, because different models are going to work for different games. So I think that once they start to get to their home stadiums, basically, if we can see a lot of sellouts there, I think that's really exciting and I think positive for the overall esports space. You know, I'd love to see other games start to challenge a little bit too, from, you know, providing their communities with a bigger stage for competition and playing. I want to see, you know, a fighting game really rise above the rest and kind of take over as a dominant one out there. I think they have a really hardcore, small community, but one that I think they've put in a lot of time, and I think it's that time to hit to that next level, basically. And then actually I'm really excited to see Rainbow Six continue growing. It's a game that we're in, but great relationship with the publisher, and they're really trying a hybrid model out, so I'm really excited to see it go. And then as a fan, you know, I love the trash talking in League of Legends and everything that goes back and forth around that, so I'm really excited about Worlds, but next year that I hope it continues to keep on growing. So that's that, and I'm probably forgetting something, but for the most part, you know, I want to see that going. I'd love to see another game also just come completely out of nowhere. Oh, I would love to see Halo make a big splash and come back. I would love to see that. Hey, this is Erik from FaZe from ESI London 2019.